we've got a couple more stand-ups for you and then some more improv. Now, we've tried to make the stand-ups as much of a mixed bag as we can get. So these next guys are a little bit different than what you've already seen. The first one, without further ado, Chris Waugh.
Thank you very much. How are we all doing? Are we well? Yeah. Good, excellent. So I will introduce myself. My name is Chris. I'm going to begin with a bit of an apology if I'm a little bit nervous when I do this material, but then again I think you would be nervous if you looked like me. I am genuinely terrified that at some point the police will arrest me thinking that they've caught Anonymous. I've got to be honest with you, I do get a lot of odd comments about my physical appearance. When I was in the gym this morning, a guy came up to me and said, "Oi mate, are you Jesus?" Like, well, no, I'm not Jesus. I mean, I can't possibly be Jesus because, for one thing, I'm an atheist, right? And you can't be the Son of God and an atheist. Like, let's just imagine that for a moment. Just imagine how bad your daddy issues would be. It is one thing to think your dad never loved you. It's worse if you think he's an ontological contradiction that doesn't exist. I've got to admit, I've had quite a confusing day, guys. Someone there going really for the theological jokes. Ooh, metaphysics, that's fun. No, I've had a bit of a confusing day. So before this gig, I was working in my office in my academic department, and I saw that someone had put up a sign. I think it was for like a philosophy talk, and it said in big letters at the top, "Does time exist?" And then below in slightly smaller letters, Thursday, 8 PM. Well, I'm glad we resolved that. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself. I'm a PhD student at the moment. I study sociology. And my area of research is protest movements, right? And that means that I actually have to go on protests for work, which is a very strange position to be in because it has changed the chants I will do on protests. You know, it's kind of like, what do we want? Research data. When do we want it? Preferably a week before my next supervision. But it is very strange, like, because I've always been quite a politically active person, right? I've always been going on protests for most of my adult life. And I go on protests for two reasons. One, because I care about the issues. Two, because I love misspelled protest signs. Okay? If any of you have been on a demo, you will see that people make their own little signs, little placards, and sometimes they make brilliant spelling errors. I'll give you a few examples. Last protest I went on was a protest against cuts to education funding, right? So a group of students, they made a banner that was meant to say, "Defend education." I looked at that and I thought, great, that is exactly the sort of pithy slogan this movement needs. And I looked again and realised an E had gotten mixed up with a U. So what it actually said was, "Defund education." Surprisingly balanced protest, that one. A little bit before that, I went on what was called a Reclaim the Night march. It's like a feminist march. I was marching along with a woman next to me had a sign that was meant to say, "Condemn sexism." Again, great, short, pithy slogan. Unfortunately, she made a spelling error, and what it actually said was "condom sexism." Which invites us all into a terrifying new world of latex-based misogyny. Otherwise known as Donald Trump's brain. But it's not just people on the political left who make this mistake, right? So, not that long ago, a far-right group by the name of Britain First came and did a protest in Cambridge, where I used to live, right? And I saw them when they were out on their protest, and there was this one guy, and he had a sign that was meant to say something really offensive, which was, "No place in my town for Muslims." However, he made one little error that made this the best sign I've ever seen, because what it actually said was, "No place in my town for Muslin." Now, for those of you who may not be aware, muslin is kind of very expensive fabric. Which suggests to me that neo-Nazis, they're just really house-proud. Close the borders, no more immigrants. Why would we do that? Well, they just won't go with the sofa. I've got to admit though, you know, like I am a bit worried about like the fact that the far right seems to be having a bit of a resurgence at the moment. I don't know if you guys are aware, but a group that a lot of people thought had gone away has come back. A group called the English Defence League. Have we all heard of the English Defence League? Yeah. So they are one of these peculiar far right racist groups who will claim that they are not racist. But if you ever see them in action, they have this little chant they do on their protests, and it goes like this. There ain't no black in the Union Jack. There ain't no black in the Union Jack. Now, I have 3 problems with that chant. Firstly, it is, surprisingly enough, racist. That is a racist thing to say. Secondly, it is grammatically incorrect. It should be, there is not any black in the Union Jack. Now, normally, I wouldn't be so pedantic about these sort of things, but if the name of your organisation is the English Defence League, learn to speak the fucking language. And lastly, and most importantly, I don't like that chant because to me it represents a fundamental misunderstanding about how flags work. Because I hate to break it to you, but what you see on a country's flag does not represent what you will then find in that country, as I recently learned on a very disappointing holiday in Wales. Anyway, you guys have been fucking amazing. I've been Chris Waugh. Thank you very much. Good night!